Here are 12 online reviews of the audiobook titled, Grit. Written and narrated by Angela Duckworth. 1. Long and boring with very few practical uses. The author sounds like she's reading from a textbook. No emotion, no excitement, nada. That in itself wouldn't be so bad, however she goes on and on and on about all these different stories and examples of grit, but at a certain point you start to think, I got it, grit is good. Literally the entire book is just sample stories or studies. I don't see how people can finish this book without getting frustrated. Read the first couple of chapters and you basically have the gist of the entire book. What a letdown. 2. Overall, bad. Save your time and money. This book would be helpful if you have the mindset that people only accomplish things if they are talented, not because of their effort. This book is awful. The author talks about how she cried for several days because a supervisor gave her feedback that she didn't have a theory on why people are successful. If you have a generally realistic approach to life, this book will provide you with zero new insights. There is only indirect value to be gained from this. 3. All over the place. It's one of the books that really I couldn't finish. While the premise of the book is interesting, the author failed to organize the book such that it offer coherent structure. At chapter 11, where I stopped, I found the author suddenly talking about parenting, then I thought to myself I did not buy a parenting book. Moreover, the author could not deliver the narrative through her reading and I struggled to follow. 4. Nothing you have not heard before. If you want to succeed you need to work hard. Have you heard that one before? The author starts with telling you that she received some award that is given only to geniuses. That is as big of a red flag as you can imagine. It goes down from there. You are reminded how smart she is every 2 pages while constantly repeating that you have to work hard and be persistent. Nothing original. Waste of time and money. 5. It took me some serious grit to finish this book. The content of the book is good and has some wisdom pearls, however it was such a torture to listen to. The reader has the most monotonous voice ever. At some point I was seriously forcing myself to stay awake and pay attention simply because of how astoundingly boring and torturous the reader was. And I've listened to way longer books before. 6. How to Raise Gritty Kids. Duckworth is a proud scientist, but not too much of an entertaining author. She makes it clear that a subtle motivation in her research was her father continuing to claim you're no genius. She almost outright brags about her accomplishments and cites research from Outliers and Freakonomics, 2 books she had clearly read. She mentions her TED Talk and how her rough draft was so off the mark it was embarrassing and she was told to redo it to add some entertaining values. Someone should have done that with her book because it was boring. Near the end she finally reveals her true motivation for writing the book, which was to share her findings on how to raise gritty kids. In her research, which is not complete, but her kids are getting older and she must share, suggests that an authoritative parent has the best atmosphere for creating a strong work ethic in children. The book is geared more towards someone who wants to become grittier and offers ways of self-improvement in that aspect, therefore I would only suggest this read to anyone looking for that understanding. 7. Worth the listen, then worth the read. I thought Angela Duckworth did an excellent job with this book. It touched on not only what grit is, but how to obtain it, and also how to pass it down to your children. She was able to pull a number of different studies together in a cohesive way intertwined with well-associated stories to help tie the idea together. We'll be listening to this one again. 8. Good for the classroom, the team, and the family. I just finished my first listen through. I say first, because I expect to listen to it at least once more. It was a pleasure, and I think it bears a second time over with appropriate pauses to delve into some of the studies and representative stories she touches on. The initial listen was great to get a feel for the ideas and the stories. It was enjoyable as a pleasure listen, not just for the nuts and bolts. Lots of good scene setting and characters throughout. 9. Great parenting advice. This audiobook went by quickly. Every line was useful and insightful. If you are a parent with young children, or work with children, then this book is highly recommended. It redefined how I speak to my kids and gives me a better idea on what to focus on with them. Prior, I was basically clueless and bombarded with unsolicited parental advice daily. This audiobook gave me, and will give you, a simple broad focus on how to raise and teach your kids. To encourage and foster grit. 10. A must for the leadership team. Not having any idea of what this book was going to be about after our vice president recommended it, I quickly understood why he chose it. Very insightful and chock full of great anecdotes that are relatable and relevant to almost every facet of the growth of a leader. The biggest question is, would I listen to it again and would I share with a friend? Yes and yes. I have taken the parable of the Masons as my own, to illustrate purpose. It's to the point and understandable. 11. Requires reading. I don't agree with everything the author says, but she certainly did the research. Any study of grit is going to be woefully incomplete. Angela Duckworth did a fantastic job of explaining grit and presenting it, especially for those who have just started to examine the concept. Recommend this book to parents, teachers, and coaches. It should be reused reading for high school graduation or college entrance. 12. Great narrator and great value, slow in the middle. The author kept me engaged with her narration tone and had plenty of great examples of grit. Not only did this apply to top-tier athletes, but to everyday average people as well. I found myself stopping it and taking longer to press play at some parts about 2/3 through, but it also had a very solid ending and take-home message. This was the first book I've listened to that I kept adding bookmarks, at least 5. So much great content to digest. Thank you for watching. Please, do not forget to subscribe, like and share this video. Tune in for more online audiobooks reviews.